I'd like to call up Mr. Chris Steele, the president of the San Antonio Professional Firefighters Association. I'm sure he'll have a few things to say.
I'm very honored to be here. My colleague, Mr. Bruno, if I don't able to talk or finish it all, he can definitely do it. So today I want to talk to you about the San Antonio First campaign. On February 20th, we started that campaign, but that wasn't really the beginning of what we have done for this city. As firefighters, when you're having the worst day of your life, you call 911, and no matter what the problem, it could be a child's hand stuck in a bubble gum machine. Do they still have those? A cat in the tree. Doesn't matter. We come, we take care of the issue, we mitigate the emergency, and we do it with a smile on our face and great customer service. And 2 years ago, citizens came to us and said, look, this streetcar thing, that boondoggle, that waste of $1 billion taxpayer dollars, we got to do something to stop that. And so the firefighters geared up and assisted lots of folks in the community in gathering the signatures and putting that on the ballot and stopping that.
Thank you.
And so we find ourselves here again today with a couple of more issues. We had a meeting, it was probably a year ago. Some of you were there at the Firefighters Union Hall. We had 60 different groups represented. From that time until February 20th, people were telling us, hey, we need y'all. And there was a couple of issues that bubbled up to the top, and we're going to talk about those today, but understand that we're here for the long haul because we understand that a rising tide floats all boats, and if this city goes under, if it tanks, if it's bankrupt for our children, then none of us will be prosperous and happy and successful. And so for firefighters, we have to fix this city in order to keep everybody prosperous and happy and successful. And so we have 3 petitions that came out of this effort. One of the biggest things is the first petition, and some of you should have this. I asked that y'all share it. I have just a few more. We should have had some at every table, but we have a couple more if y'all need one. We're talking about accountability, fairness, and access. So the first petition, and I had a young lady just ask me about it, is the accountability, and this is the accountability of the city manager. One of the things that came to our attention is that city manager has too much power. Yeah. And so one of the petitions is designed to limit that power. I also had someone come to me about changing the form of government, and I said, that's a conversation for a larger group of people and a long-term conversation before we go from a council manager to a strong mayor like Houston. But it's something that we might need to think about. But for now, what we saw fit as the best way to address the city manager and the power imbalance at City Hall and the city manager not being accountable is the first petition does 3 things. The first thing that it does is it requires a 2/3 vote of city council to approve any contracts, bonuses, or anything that's related to the city manager. If anybody knows parliamentary procedure, 2/3 is a higher standard on a lot of things. It takes a 2/3 vote to overcome a presidential veto, things like that. And so we felt like instead of Cheryl Scully or any city manager kind of working on a 6 council majority for the things that she does, now she's going to have to get 8. And it's been typically harder for her to get more than 6 on her issues. So that was just the first thing on that one petition. And you'll see that it's actually on the 3rd page. The second thing was to cap the salary.
Yes.
What we have said is, the President of the United States makes $400,000 a year, the governor $150,000. City manager makes more than both of those put together. And we don't think that that is something that the citizens of this community want to happen. And we're Military City, USA. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the #1 highest rating 4-star general is at $189,000 a year. And so I think we can find someone to run and manage this city at an appropriate public service salary such as that. And so this caps the city manager's salary at 10 times the lowest paid full-time city employee, which we know that's $29,000 and some change. So that would cap the city manager at $290,000 a year, and we think that's appropriate. They're going to come out and they're going to say they can't find someone to do the job at that level. And I had a conversation, and we have a former county commissioner here, and they believe the county manager does a great job, and he's working for way less than what our city manager does. So I'm sure they can find someone to do the job. The last part of that one petition is a term limit on city manager. So the President of the United States can serve 8 years. The mayor and city council can only do 8 years. They do 2-year terms. They get 4 total. We felt like 8 years is appropriate for the city manager. We know that the average city manager is 5 years in cities throughout America. We know that average CEOs of large companies are 4.7 years. So 8 years is reasonable in our opinion. And so that is the first petition that we have asked citizens to sign. And as President Martin talked about, these citizens knew what they were signing. And the Express News columnist, Chasnoff, you know, I appreciate that y'all probably don't read them. We do read them. I want everyone to know that, you know, I am an honorably discharged veteran. I've been a firefighter for 32 years. I've been a chief in the fire department for 20 years. I've been the president for 14 years. I appreciate being called the union boss. But I will say, the Chasnoff article, and there's still some comment out there about it. You know, I went through a divorce. I am remarried to the same lady, but I went through a divorce. She never used one dime on insurance. That's why I'm still employed. But people still kind of talk about that because Chasnoff wrote that up. And in fact, she spent health care money on her own card and her own insurance, but they still try to put that out there. So I just wanted to make sure to clear the air that they'll continue to talk about that as this campaign moves forward. But I want everyone to understand, firefighters, we live a dangerous life, and I don't mind taking the bullets on the mayor because I know this is a campaign that the people want. So the second petition that we have is the litigation. So Councilman Brockhouse just talked about it. Right now, the city has spent over $1 million on litigation fighting first responders. What the second petition does, it just requires binding arbitration. So when the city manager took on the fight to the police officers, San Antonio became the #1 city in serious crime. That's robberies, rapes, and murders. We're #1 over Detroit, Memphis, New Orleans. I have a neighbor who just moved from Nashville. He says, I can count on a murder or a rape or robbery being on TV every night. In Austin, they had 38. We were over 100 last year. That's because the city manager is fighting first responders and not putting the money in that it takes for them to do their job. And so what this petition does for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens, it will stop all of that fighting. If there's any battles or any disagreements going with public safety and the city manager, we have to submit our issues to a third-party arbitrator who will make a decision that is binding. And so that's not necessarily going to be in our favor. It's not necessarily going to be in the city's favor. You're going to make your arguments, and they're going to determine what it is that's going to happen from there. And it won't be this prolonged, protracted, expensive battle that you see taking place where the only people that suffer is the citizens. And so that second petition requires that instead of expensive litigation. And so the third petition is the one that we felt that we had to do also. So understand that 2 years ago, you can only do a charter change every 2 years. 2 years ago, we did one. It's the streetcar petition. This time we did 3. We could have done just one. We could have just done binding arbitration. But we felt like the biggest feedback we got was people were saying, man, that city manager is just too powerful. But organizations such as HTA, such as Tea Party, we have endorsements from our revolution. And so as firefighters, we're nonpartisan. But we have groups of supporting these petitions from all spectrums. The League of Independent Texans, the biggest independent agency, has endorsed this effort as well. But this third petition is what we call access. It is going to increase voter participation. The reason that people don't vote is because they don't trust the politicians at City Hall. But what this does is this allows folks to vote on issues. What the mayor is basically telling you, when he attacks us and when he attacks those who sign the petition, what he's telling them is, I want you to come vote for me, but you're not smart enough to vote on my policies. That's exactly what he's saying. And so the state of Texas said that in order for a city to exist, they have to have a charter. And in order to change that charter, you need to get 20,000 signatures, and you have 6 months from the time you initiate it to the time it ends to get that done. Now, in a separate part, the city can set initiative and referendum. So initiative, there's a group that's actually right now going out for paid sick leave. And they're going under the initiative. We're going under the charter. Under the initiative, you have to get 75,000 plus signatures. So the way the charter sets it is 10% of the voters who voted in the last mayoral election. So it's over 75,000. And you have to get those to place that on the ballot. And it's similar to a city ordinance at that point. So you don't have to get to city council to make a motion and pass it. You have to get 75,000 plus signatures. And now that is a vote of the citizens from there. That's an initiative. Now, referendum, when city council voted to raise your SARS rates, and what they're going to continue to do that every year, a referendum says you have 40 days to go get 75,000 signatures to undo what they did. What our third petition does is it lowers that bar. It says that that bar should be the same as what the state constitution has said to change the charter. 20,000 signatures in 6 months.
Amen. Yes.
That is the one that City Hall is afraid of, because now they have to listen to you. Now, they changed initiative and referendum. The forefathers of this city council changed that, and they can change it. They can't change charter unless they go to Austin and change it. That's why we do charter amendments. But under referendum, they changed it years ago, so you don't have a voice. And what we're doing is we're changing it back, so now you have a voice. Whenever they do anything, change the name of a street, pull down a statue, whatever it is that the citizens don't like, you can change it. You get 20,000 signatures, and it does take some effort. You deliver it, and then let the people decide, which is the mantra of this campaign, is we are trying to stop corruption at City Hall. The politicians and power brokers want to have more voice than the people. And that's what San Antonio First campaign is about. And what we did is, in order to avoid what we knew was going to happen, I didn't want any of you to be in harm's way when We're rocking City Hall. I'll take the bullets. And you see, ever since February 20th, they probably wrote me up in the paper every day. And I'm okay with it. I'll take the bullets. But now that we've delivered over 100,000 signatures, we're going to be coming to you because we need your help. Greg Brockhouse needs your help. If we're going to change this city, we're going to need everybody's active effort to change it. And the firefighters want to be out front, but I need your help in making sure that everyone understands this is not a fire union collective bargaining issue. This is making San Antonio better, making San Antonio first. That's what this is about. And having your help, phone banking, talking to people, sending them to the website, going to Facebook, just every little thing you can do every day to help us in this regard will make sure that on November 12th, when the citizens go decide, that they're going to vote in favor of all of these issues. We know that they were going to try to do some legal things. We have the lawyer. He's ready. We know that when the citizens voted in November 12th, the mayor is probably going to say, I'm going to keep the city manager. And we know that we're going to have the Secretary of State behind us. We're going to go to court. We're going to ask the people to rally, because when the people speak, the mayor should do what the people say. And so with that, there will be continuous contact. I want to thank those here. You know, we stay in contact with Nikki, with Stanley. I know I'm going to miss something with George and others. We thank you for the support. And I will take questions. So he asked if the firemen do something in districts 1 through 7 to kind of talk to the elected officials and kind of change, you know, what's going on in this city.
Vote for good people.
And so I think that the answer to that is, you know, there's a low voter turnout, and educating voters is an issue that we have always tried to do, but a couple of politicians might be in the room. Is Greg still here? So, the right to petition your government for redress of grievances is a First Amendment right. Direct democracy is what we are doing here today, because we figured it out that politicians and the power brokers are corrupt at City Hall. I don't care who I put in there. With the current system that we have, with city manager having so much power, with the things that are in place that Councilman Brockhouse kind of described, I don't believe that it's possible that we'll be able to change that. What I do believe is possible is that after November 12th, when we pass these petitions, we will continue to change the charter and change the government by letting the people determine what to do. We can cap tax rates like Senate Bill 4. We can stop them from using your money to pay lobbyists to go against you in Austin. We can do all of those things by just doing this. And to me, I've been doing this specifically with City Hall for 14 years. It's corrupt, and the politicians won't change. But the reason that you have seen so much vile and vitriol come at me is because we've struck a nerve. And we're going to need everybody's help. I'm going to need you to talk to everyone you know every time you see something on Facebook or anywhere else, on your emails. We get this passed. This won't be the fourth. So the firefighters have been involved with 4 petition drives. The largest in the state is this one. And it won't be the end as long as City Hall stays corrupt and I have y'all behind me.
What are we supposed to do?
You know, President Steele has been demonized, like he said, almost daily. And there was a number of members of HTA and other groups that did go to the petition turn-in over at City Hall. And I'll just say what they said about me, and this is great. It says, Bob Martin with the Homeowner Taxpayer Association of Bexar County, a man who has spent the past decade opposing a laundry list of government initiatives. It's been longer than a decade, expressed views, including bond programs. Of course, they don't tell you why they were opposed, maybe because of the terrible spending, but mostly they do not disclose how much interest you're going to pay on the bond, which is by far the largest expense. And that's hidden from you. You only know about the principal. How about this one that I opposed? The pre-kindergarten program. Well, that was a quarter, eighth of a cent sales tax hike, plus school districts were also offering pre-K programs. A pilot program to help city employees purchase homes in the inner city. Well, is what the city does. I believe it's $9,000. If a city employee moves into an area, politically favored area, they get, I believe it's $9,000 free gratis of you and I, just to move downtown. Isn't that great?
Yep.
And a plan to raise wages for the lowest paid county workers. Well, they have that $15 move campaign going, and I did speak out at Commissioner's Court about, this doesn't make any sense because all these other people that are making $15 a day, they're going to want 20 or 25, and your taxes will go up accordingly. And then, this is my favorite, it's a lack of trust in government. Really? Martin once said, explaining his opposition to redistrict state funds to maintain roads. Well, do you know where the city was going to redirect those funds? Streetcars. So I guess I'm guilty as charged, but I just picked one because it was me, and I thought I'd just mention it. You don't read the paper, so you don't know. But for those that read it, I'm sure you saw it. Okay.